Thanks very much for joining us. Now, you join us just a few days after Prince Harry gave that extraordinary interview to the BBC last Friday after he's lost his long-running legal battle to get armed police protection when he comes to Britain. My interpretation of that, and I'm not alone, was he gave that interview, he blamed everyone, it's conspiracy theories, it's my dad, it's the government, nothing is my fault. He was like a spoilt brat throwing his toys out of the pram because he didn't get what he wanted. Now, the other thing I took from that was this guy, Harry. I thought he seemed in despair. I thought he seemed lost. I thought he seemed lonely, very sad, and also I thought he seemed psychiatrically dubious. I thought he needs psychiatric help. The level of his paranoia was astonishing. Paranoid about everything. Now, my question to you is, he didn't used to be like that. He used to be a happy-go, carefree, popular guy. He's turned into a misery guts who thinks the whole world's against him, lashes out angrily all the time. My question to you, Tom, is do you think your sister, Meghan Markle, has ruined Prince Harry?
Well, let me answer that real quick for you. The answer is yes. And I could not agree with you more on everything you just said. I was watching this interview just thinking to myself, this poor man. And it just continues and continues and continues. And he's going deeper and deeper and deeper. And I do believe, you know, Meghan is driving this whole caravan for him. He is so stressed out. You can see it in his face. Despair. He's confused. He doesn't know what to say. He thinks he's going to get in trouble if he doesn't say exactly what Meghan says. Apparently, in my opinion, of course, but very sad to watch. And I think it was a desperate plea because they've made their beds for the last 6 years, and now they're sleeping on them, and the entire world knows exactly what's happening with those two.
Yeah, we think here in Britain, and I know a lot of Americans agree, because that interview was watched all over the world, that, what is it, in 5-6 years, Meghan has changed Harry, and she hasn't changed him for the better. She's changed him for the worse. What do you think she's done to him, Tom?
Well, I think it's a combination of a few things. In my opinion, I think that Meghan is playing this whole entire her life, scripted, produced, acted by her, all on her dime or whatever. She's playing this fantasy life out in her own mind, where it comes to where, let me get to this in 1 second, but it comes to where she wants to be Diana so bad. It's kind of freaky and kind of scary. And when Harry mentioned on that interview, right off the bat, some people in the royal family, and I'm not going to say who they are, they want us dead.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
that right there, red flags everywhere.
Yeah, it's off the scale deranged, I think. I mean, and he, as I say, he's very, very paranoid, very miserable, very lost. Do you sense, as I sensed, that underneath all this, he knows he's kind of wrecked his own life? He's been lured away from what he was born to, and that is to be a Prince of Britain, to be a part of the royal family. She's taking him over to California, and he's a ship adrift. He's got no purpose. He's got no direction home. His family don't talk to him. She has ruined him, and he's chipped in and ruined himself. Do you think?
I absolutely agree with you on all those points. I've watched Harry's downfall from the very, very beginning. When they first turned on me personally and my family, and I wrote him that letter still stands in concrete today. He should have listened, because everything since that point has gone downhill, and he's become less and less and less of a man continuously every month, every year. It's so obvious who's driving Harry and making him do these things. Listen, he wrote a book He totally attacked the monarchy, totally attacked William and Catherine. Meghan is so jealous of Catherine. It's very, very scary. It's actually very creepy. And I don't know where this whole thing is going, but it's not going very well for either of them. And then they get on there and they complain, saying their lives are threatened. They want them dead. Poor me. I lost this. How am I going to pay for my own legal bills? Everything is like, you know, they create all these problems like narcissists do. And then they blame everybody else. And it's always somebody else's fault. Now, Harry has fallen into a major category of Meghan's narcissism.
Yes, a good point. Now, I want to get onto the issue of safety, Harry's obsession with his own safety and his family's safety in a minute, because we need to talk about your safety. We need to talk about your dad's safety and your sister's safety. We'll do that in a second. But first, let's talk about the implications of what he said, Harry said in that interview. He said, because they won't give me armed police protection, that means I won't ever be able to bring my children, Archie and Lilibet, and indeed my wife, my family, back to Britain ever again. And therefore, King Charles will never see his grandchildren again. Does that ring a bell with you? Meghan won't let you see your nephews and won't let your dad see his beloved grandchildren. He's never seen them. What is it about this couple that they send their loving grandfathers of their kids into despair? Why won't Meghan let your dad see his grandchildren? Why won't Harry let his dad see his grandchildren? Because it sort of pitches your dad, Thomas Sr., and the King together. They're in the same boat here, and it's kind of sad and almost sinister as well, I think.
Yeah, well, you know, you really touched on a very interesting subject there, Kevin, about these children. You know, the controversy is just endless on this whole entire thing, between the moon bump theory and the surrogacy and everything else like that. I don't know. My father doesn't know. I don't think anybody knows if those children are legitimate or surrogates or what. Nobody really knows. No. But for Meghan and Harry to use these kids as pawns, you know, totally just, you know, blindsiding their theories about child safety on social media. Now they're using the kids as pawns. They've been using the kids for pawns for years. My father has already given up. And it says, like, I'm never going to meet those kids. King Charles is never going to meet those children, ever. I don't know. And using the kids as pawns, as a bargaining chip, you know, what is wrong with people? I just don't get it. That's like, family is family. You know, everybody has a right to meet and be involved with their entire family, unless there's some serious screws loose or somebody has some serious something wrong upstairs, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah. What about Harry when he said, I mean, as you just alluded to, ridiculously, ludicrously, he suggested that his father, the king, is in some kind of conspiracy theory with shadowy figures in our government, and they're conspiring to keep him unsafe. They want him dead. Ridiculous, ludicrous, mad, insane. But he also says that what he doesn't want is for history to repeat itself. As if he brings the family back to Britain, if he brings the kids and Meghan back to Britain, somehow or other they'll be killed or they'll die in the way that Princess Diana did in that tunnel in Paris all those years ago. I mean, that is demented, isn't it?
Yes, just like we were talking about before, where I mentioned, this is Meghan's fantasy movie playing out in her mind. And Harry's a pawn. Harry's like, you know, Harry, I need you to go on this interview and say exactly this, and don't screw up. This is exactly what I want you to say. I think she's playing this out in her whole mind, because apparently, you know, she's mentioned to everybody that she talks to Diana in the grave, right? She's obsessed with Diana. She's ordered websites and bought domains prior to even meeting Prince Harry. You know, it's just,
so
she's playing this whole thing out.
In your mind then, Tom, you know your sister. And I agree with your interpretation. I think it's very plausible. You reckon that when Harry did that interview with the BBC last Friday, right after he lost that case here in London, that Meghan would have given him the script?
Absolutely. You know, this is my opinion, of course. And I do believe, you know, Harry's been led along and told what to do. I mean, every single interview, every single picture, every place they go, Meghan grabs him. Meghan controls him. Meghan tells him no. Meghan stands in front of him. She controls every single situation like she is the star. And she's turned a Prince Harry, she's turned Prince Harry into a man of non-substance who's just there as a prop in a movie, you know, for her own well-being. It's...
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, Tom. I said this a few days ago on air. I said, with Meghan, your sister, it's like she's playing a part that she doesn't really get humanity, how to be a normal human being. But she sort of reads up about it. She looks in from outside the human race and then acts out what she thinks she ought to do. Oh, I really love my kids. Oh, my husband really loves me. Oh, he's a fox. Isn't everything wonderful? I've never been happier in my life. What about that? 1 week before Harry revealed himself in that BBC interview to be extraordinarily unhappy, Meghan announced she's never been happier in her life. What is that all about? Does she even care that her husband is in despair?
No, I don't believe she cares one bit. And that reminds me of something else. On social media, I have never in my life seen anybody post 50 plus things online about themselves. And it's very creepy. It's like she's trying to sell herself to herself. She is the only one. She probably looks at everything she posts that she pays for, all these positive things. Oh, me and Harry this, me and Harry that. Oh, my kid's this, my kid's that. Oh, we're happily in love. It's really creepy.
Yeah. What do you make, Tom, of the fact, you know, she's posting all this? My family, I love my family, I love my husband, my kids, my family, my family, my family. What about your side of the family? She's not so loving towards you, towards your father, and towards your sister Samantha, is she? How can she sit there saying, I so love my family, my family love me, and ruthlessly cut you, Tom Sr. and Samantha out of her life?
Well, gosh, I'm just going to have to touch on something here for a second. May have something to do with like her mom cooking bath salts on the first episode of her cooking show. I don't know. but there's something seriously wrong. Yeah. How's your dad? I mean, I post that so many times. How's dad doing, Meghan? You know, she doesn't care. She will pretend in her mind that none of us exist, just like she did from the very beginning, just to cover the lies that she told Harry and the royal family, all about us. This goes back, you know, 6 years right before the wedding or whatever it is. But
yeah. When you see the way she's behaving now, and I think over the past few months, she's become more manic than she ever was before, with all this her ambitions to become a billionaire, you know, as ever. That dreadful podcast series she's doing right now, Confessions of a Female Founder, giving all these interviews. When you see the way she's behaving now, you know, she seems manipulative, as you say. She seems to be almost controlling Harry like a puppet on a string. She's very scheming. Do you recognise that? Did you see that side of her when you were younger, when you were growing up with her, when she was a kid?
A couple little things here and there, like the attitude, a little bit of the snarling attitude was there. And I've got quite a few videos that I'm going to start sharing, by the way, online and on my channel. But it really started evolving when she left Northwestern and went to Canada. My dad specifically said one day that the way that she talked to my father, he knew it was over. He didn't know his daughter anymore because she talked down to him like he was nothing. So this was all built up, and it was all around probably the Soho stuff when she started hanging out with Anderson and the Soho Club and all that. That's when she talked down to my father like he was nothing. She obviously didn't need him anymore at that point.
Yeah, so what you're saying is as she began to become famous and to taste fame and fortune, it was almost as if she didn't need you guys anymore, didn't need her loving father anymore, the guy who worked 70 hours a week to help her launch her career, sent her to acting school, gave her the best education possible. She didn't need him anymore and dropped him like a stone, right?
Yeah, and then told so many lies to the entire world continuously about working hard and putting yourself through college, how we were so poor growing up and rubbing the two nickels together at the Sizzler salad bar. It's endless. And she was a poor orphan. She never had a family, when it's all the complete opposite. Everything she says is the complete opposite.
So your dad knew then when she went to Canada to film Suits, to live in Canada. Your dad knew then, Vancouver, wasn't it? Your dad knew then that he was losing her because of her attitude.
Yeah, and then the other point that we want to make on this is when Trevor called my father crying when he received the ring back in the mail from Meghan. He had no idea what was going on. He had no idea what he'd done. Trevor worshipped her. He loved her, gave her everything that he could possibly give her. And then the ring comes back in the mail.
I know.
And Trevor.
But you were quite friendly with Trevor, weren't you?
Yeah, I met Trevor a few times. And the last time I met him was at my grandmother's memorial. But he's a great guy. I mean, he worshipped the ground that she walked on. And she took every advantage of him that she could possibly take. And then, quite simply, when she didn't need him anymore, he was done.
And that must have devastated him.
Yeah, that would devastate anybody, especially when you give your heart and soul to somebody and, you know, you speak with them and you talk to them, you sleep with them, they're your partner, your companion, and then everything that they've told you isn't true one day, and it's all over for no, you know? So it was basically a stepping stone. So that's when my father knew that there was not, like, I don't know my daughter anymore.
How is your dad feeling now? I mean, every day in every way, Meghan's in all of our faces, if you know what I mean. I mean, you can't escape her. Every time he sees her in the press or hears about her, must be a painful reminder to him that, you know, once she was his little girl, his beloved little girl, and they were very close, weren't they? And now she, as you said, she almost refuses to admit he even exists, cut him off, you know, like a stone. How does Tom feel about that?
He went through a few years of serious adjustment. Now I think he's resigned to the fact where he's just kind of like, you know, he doesn't really look at it that much anymore. He doesn't really pay attention to that much anymore. And I think he does it for his own benefit because that was a long healing process for him, especially when after the heart attack and the stroke, and there were still no communications or no care whatsoever, no text, no call from her whatsoever at all. And like I said, a few years of adjustment, a few years of just getting over things. But I'm pretty sure it really still bothers him.
Harry, in this interview on Friday, said, I didn't choose this life, you know, to be a royal. Well, of course he didn't. He was born, happened to be a royal. You guys, your dad, your sister, you didn't choose this life either, did you? You didn't choose to be the relations, the family of Meghan Markle, and that's compromised your safety, hasn't it?
My father was invited to the coronation, and Meghan said no. Meghan said no to other visits where the Queen Act specifically said, you know, it'd be good if your family was here, and no, or your father's not here, no, it's not going to happen. And you really never know. These people who chase you around and take your pictures, they compromise your safety. There's like the element of the Sussex Squad. These are dangerous people who just worship Meghan and the ground she walks on. You know, these people are dangerous. Death threats to Samantha, myself, my father, and they go after anybody who says anything bad about Meghan.
Is this why you and Tom Sr. are in the Philippines, to try to escape all of this, to try to escape the attention that you naturally attract?
Dad was in Mexico for almost 10 years, and he felt it was, time for a change. He wanted to come see. Being over here enables him to see a lot of the things that he wanted to see, like the pyramids in Cambodia. He wants to go to see some of the historical sites in Vietnam, and it makes it a lot easier. And he wanted just, nice people around him, and he wanted to change the pace. And he deserves it. I mean, he deserves to be left alone and enjoy life in general, not looking over his shoulder. Why this guy's
I know he's with you now, isn't he? So do give him our best. Let's go back to what Meghan has done to Harry, changed him, I think, beyond belief. Did you see the same? You were friendly with her first husband, Trevor. Did you see the same process happen to him? Did she sort of reduce Trevor as well? Did Trevor not know which way to turn? Because, as I say, I remember Harry, I'm sure you do too, as the carefree, happy-go-lucky guy. Yeah. Everybody loved him, didn't seem to have a care in the world, a smile for everyone. He looks like a haunted man in despair now. Did you see the same process happen to Trevor?
So it's really funny that you mentioned that, because none of us were invited to Trevor's wedding in Jamaica that my father paid for also. Meghan and Harry's wedding in Jamaica. From what I understand, it was just a beer fest and a smoke fest. But the last time I saw Trevor at my grandmother's memorial, I did happen to notice that Meghan almost dug her nails into his arm and was controlling him like he did something wrong, and then he was silent. Yeah. And that's very telling right there, because that's exactly what happens to Harry. How dare you, do this? How dare you do that? He's controlled. I mean, there are all those stories about him having some frozen parts down there. Maybe, he lost them completely, but I can't believe that this man, I can't believe that this man he has got to understand and realize what has happened to his life. Like you said, he used to be happy, smile, happy-go-lucky, in a good mood, smiling all the time. Yeah. I have not seen one picture that's not staged of him smiling with a professional photographer. It's crazy.
And what about her? What's going on with this kind of blizzard of activity? As I said earlier, she's finally launched this lifestyle site called As Ever. She had to change the name. So she's busy out there saying, oh, buy my jam, buy my honey, buy my edible flowers and all that. Also, there's this podcast. I think we're 4 episodes into it. I don't know if you've listened to it, but unless you're having trouble sleeping, don't, because it'll send you straight. It's so boring. It's unbelievable. Plus these interviews. She gave an interview to her friend Jamie Lima, didn't she? Why do you think she's so frenetic at the moment? As I said earlier, in our faces. You can't move for a Meghan interview, a Meghan podcast, a Meghan lifestyle site. She's in People magazine. She's all over the place. What is this all about? Why do you think that is?
It's called vanity. She's a legend in her own mind. Okay, she's playing this part out like she's God's gift to the world, and everybody's supposed to worship her. It is so obvious. This goes back to the days when, oh my God. I start to wonder, I'm going to save that for the book, but I think it had a lot to do with Doria cooking some stuff, like something here or there or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. Who is this person? What the hell happened? Did you hit your head? Her podcast looks like like methadone commercials or Prozac commercials. It's insane. It's like, who is going to sit and listen to this without getting nauseated? Like, she thinks so highly of herself. I think she is her #1 fan.
I couldn't
And
agree
that's
more.
it.
Yeah, you're so right. I always say, Tom, that the trouble with your sister is, at some point in her life, she took a bucket full of boring pills. She wants to be this star. She wants to entertain millions. And people go, oh, isn't she great? Isn't she entertaining? But she's got no ability to be that. She is every time she opens her mouth, you want to fall asleep. She's dreary. She's dull. She doesn't seem to realise that, does she?
Yeah. It's me, 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 me. And nobody can relate to somebody sitting there like, oh, I get up at 6:30, I do this, I do that, I make rainbow fruit spreads for the children every morning. You know, it's like,
who cares? Who cares?
It's like, thanks. I was thinking about either paying my rent or buying some food for dinner. It's like the general public cannot relate to somebody who is so full of themselves and who copies everything that she does. She mimics and copies.
She does. You're right.
It's crazy.
No new ideas. You're absolutely right. When you were younger, I mean, the one thing you'd say about Meghan is she is full of a kind of intense, burning ambition for herself. Did you recognise that in her when she was a kid?
She was given every avenue, every stepping stone. She was given that, and she was just like, here you go, everything you need. Hooray for this. I mean, my father's contacts in Hollywood got her where she's at. And she didn't turn her, she just went straight forward, didn't stop to thank anybody. It was all about her. And what she did after college in Toronto and all that stuff. And, the boat trips, I don't know. But there it is. And then nobody else in her life was any use to her whatsoever. Look at all her best friends who she dropped, and all these people have channels now, and they say the same thing that I do. It's like, who is this person?
Yeah, who is she? Yeah. At what point, Tom, did you realise that she had cut you out of her life? At what point did you realise you probably wouldn't talk to her again? When did she swing the axe?
That's when I reached out to the palace to get paparazzi away from me, off my house. I had to personally do that, and I had a lawyer friend up in Oregon help me with that. And the correspondence that we got back from Meghan's PR people was, that's distant family, and I don't know those people. So that's when I sat down and I wrote that letter to Harry. I go, if she's going to do this to me and our family, you're next. You're going to be blindsided. Get out while you can. That was the letter that I gave to the National Enquirer. So
I think that it's very sad that your dad, Thomas Sr., has never seen his grandchildren, and frankly is unlikely to. But I mean, don't you feel that? I mean, do you think you'll ever see them? Do you think anybody from the family will ever see those kids, or do you think you will ever talk to Meghan again?
I don't think I'll probably ever talk to Meghan again. I think Meghan is on her last leg. Her popularity is in the gutter. Of course, in my opinion, from what I see and the response I get and the comments that I read every single day, I don't think there's any chance. Meghan's going to get to the lowest point very soon, and then she's going to realize what she's done. And then she's going to try and save face and make some pathetic attempt, of course, with the Netflix crew, with the hidden microphones and the cameras, just like always, like she's already known for. She's going to try and reconcile with Dad,
So what for the showbiz angle, because it'll make
her own personal gain and her own personal PR, and that's just, nobody's going to buy it. Nobody's going to believe it, because nobody does. Everything that comes out of this woman's mouth is is just garbage.
I said it at the time, you with love, Meghan. Absolute bore fest. I mean, toweringly tedious.
Yeah,
and as
exactly.
I say, she doesn't really understand what interests people. She obviously doesn't understand how to be entertaining. Whenever she opens her mouth, you feel like you want to go to sleep. But I said at the time, well, if she wants to make a smash hit TV series or a TV show, reconcile with her family, with you, with your dad, with your sister. People would watch that. People would watch that. You think she might do that when she feels the time is necessary for her?
Oh, I've always sensed that's coming. You know, I mean, I've had a couple things on my palette for a few years now, a book, a documentary, and I've had things in the works, and I've had my chain yanked for 2 years, 3 years. Just people just dragging me out, leading me on for absolutely nothing. And I know where that comes from. It's no secret where that comes from. It came from all of her contacts, all her friends, putting the damper on anything that I ever want to do. And I have proof of that even from my son and her contact with Will Smith and my son who got bought out by her also, you know, for his weed business. But it's no secret whatsoever that she'll probably try that. And, you know, the once you're left,
what will you say? Will you say no?
Well, if Netflix wants to call and get the real story, you know, here, Tom, you know.
Sure. I'd watch that.
Yeah.
If Harry was with you now, or what would you say to him? What message would you deliver to Harry now?
Grow a pair.
Yeah. And do you think?
Wake up, Harry.
Yeah.
Wake up. You're in a spiral downward. You're going to crash and burn. You are crashing and burning right now. And believe me, I mean, honestly, I mean, this is the way it looks to everybody in the world too. Harry's a changed man. I have millions of comments. What happened to Harry? This poor man. Now people don't even feel sorry for Harry because he continues to do it over and over again. And how bad does it have to be? What is going on? What dirt does she have on you? Is she blackmailing you? What is going on? Does she keep your nuts in a jar in her purse? I don't know. It's just.
She cut you out of her life. She cut your dad out of her life. She cut your sister out of her life ruthlessly, as I said earlier. Do you think that she may do the same to Harry when she feels she doesn't need him anymore, or he's no use to her anymore? Do you think she'll cut him out of her life?
My opinion on that, Kevin, is I think it's straightforward, and I think it's going to happen. I think what's going to happen, because the threat of William taking the titles away, and he rightfully so, he should. If somebody attacked my wife like that while she was ill, that's something you can never forgive. Somebody talks so much trash about me, burns every single bridge, and then begs for forgiveness because their popularity sucks and they're in the gutter. And then you try and go crawling back, you know, and you want to go back and you make this big story up. It's such garbage. But I think once the titles get stripped, you know, I think Harry's done.
That's a good point. What do you make of, we're just running towards the end of this now, Tom, but what do you make of the fact that you understand that while Harry and Meghan are were allowed by the Queen to call themselves the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, what the Queen, that's the late Queen, of course, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, what her dying wish was that neither Harry nor Meghan, especially Meghan, used HRH, Her Royal Highness, because the Queen feared that your sister would use that HRH for commercial purposes, and that is a serious no-no for the royal family. What do you think about the fact that we now know that, contrary to the Queen's royal command, her wishes, your sister has resumed calling herself HRH?
Called vanity. You know, she disrespected Queen Elizabeth from the get-go. She mocked the Queen. She wouldn't listen to the Queen. She came into the royal family and thought she owned the place. I mean, look at the look at the NDAs that are expired from the staff and all the staff that would not work for Meghan, all the bullying, all the accusations, all this stuff. It's just, I think what happened, and quote me on this, because I think the Queen did say she knew she would know evil when she met it, and she met evil when she met Meghan Markle. And there are quotes out there floating around the internet that Meghan even told the Queen to drop dead on her way out. And I do believe the Queen, in my opinion, told Meghan, get out of my house. I think that's why they left.
If not, why not? Is your sister a bully?
Yeah, obviously.
Listen, Tom, thanks so much for talking to me again, and our very best to your dad. I know he's with you at the moment, and we will talk again soon.